right, welcome back. State of the game, August 18th. It's been a while. There are issues with the game right now. You guys and us guys played the same game. We know because we still get shot in the face with like M870s and those sorts of things. And it's frustrating. We totally get it. But like I said before, this current situation is we don't have a situation where we're like, okay, today the game is fixed. It's Thursday and after this maintenance, it's all going to be good. That's not where we're at. Unfortunately, that'd be great, but we have a lot of work to do. That's true. Yep. So with these big issues requiring big fixes, we want to keep having this conversation over a period of time because that's what it's going to take. But we want your involvement on that. So on that note, we thought it would be good today to go through what the biggest issues are so we can get on the same page as you guys. Actually, the first thing I have on my list is the shotgun/sentry issue that has been probably the biggest cause of frustration for people in the Dark Zone. Yep. But right now, the meta isn't fun, which is the problem.
And I see in the chat already some people saying balance the PvP and everything. And yeah, exactly. That's one of the aspects that makes PvP really unbalanced and not fun right now because of this kind of meta that is like, it's not as if you have one meta, but you actually have alternatives. Right now, you just don't. So
no, exactly. And I think
you do, but
no, I mean, and that's kind of the next thing on my list is the Deadeye hipfire thing, which would probably be the other. Well, I mean, there's kind of three things. You've got your sentry shotgun, you've got your Deadeye hipfire, and you also have reclaimer. Yeah. Right, and all of these things lead to a not fun experience because either you're getting like locked by consumables and fire and explosions and these sorts of things, or you're being one shot, or you're just being hip-fired at by someone running Deadeye, which would be okay if you weren't being one shot. Like our game isn't, our game is and shouldn't be that game. Yep. So we gotta. That's one of the things we have to work on. The other things I have on this list, which kind of fits in both into PvE and PvP, is the Npc scaling at end game, and I've talked about this on the stream a lot. The 1 to 30 experience, scaling in there works great.
Yeah. But then when you reach end game and you go to 30 plus, then that's where it begins. And the scaling is that like the higher level the NPC and the worse it actually gets. It's like the higher level and the less powerful you feel as a player because it takes more and more bullets and more ammos and like all these clips to actually kill one NPC, which is also not fun.
So I mean, I think that's. I could go back to this later on. But I think that's one of our two biggest issues is the scaling in the end game, because it's also a lot of people die to NPCs in the Dark Zone in a really bad way. Yep. Not because they were engaging them, but because they were, not in that. Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah, it's a tricky one because you want to add difficulty, but it shouldn't be sponginess and being one.
But yeah, not that kind of difficulty, which is
no. Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, the thing that I think people find frustrating, and I find frustrating as well, is like you'll be running like a heroic incursion, like a heroic underground or incursion, or the DZ5 and 6. Yep. And regardless of how gear capped you are, you're getting one shot a lot of the time. Yeah. And that's not cool. Yeah. That's so you're not rewarded for the investment you put into your gear. Yeah. Don't love it. Okay, but we'll anyway. So and actually that you actually alluded to it before, solo players. Yeah. Because a lot of this affects them more than it affects other people. Obviously, getting one shot, you can't be revived if you're a solo player. Yeah. That sucks. And also the ammo issue. Yeah. So with sponginess.
Yeah. And also what is linked to that, I was checking if you put it in a list, but what is linked to that is also the scaling between difficulty modes, especially like it's pretty obvious in the underground, like when you're playing hard mode, you can actually run through hard mode and wreck everything, and then you try challenge mode and suddenly you get wrecked. And there is something off here, obviously, because this is not how it should be. Like if you can very easily run through hard mode, and that means the rewards you're going to get there are probably not super interesting for you. You should actually be able to do challenge mode. Exactly. You should not just get completely wrecked. So obviously there is something off there, which also has to do partially with the NPC scaling and the difficulty.
Totally. Actually, someone it's going really quickly, guys. Sorry, it's hard for us to keep up with chat. Someone was saying that they feel like the loot is off, and I kind of agree. And it's something that I knew, But I've noticed even more playing from 0 to 30, or 1 to 30. But you recognize that you have a situation where, like, I'm level 24, but I'm using level 20 guns, and then I get a level 24 gun, and I feel so much more powerful.
Yep.
That's something that we don't have in the end game right now. Gear sets, I mean, obviously a lot of people are going towards ones like Sentry. I mean, of course, it gives you by far the biggest damage output. You have things like the Reclaimer, like I mentioned before.
Yeah, there's that, and that also links to the reward aspect you were mentioning before, also, and like the items also, because the fact that there are gear sets that are obviously better than other ones means that when you're doing this activity that's going to take some time, that's going to be hard, and the reward you get is one of the gear sets that are not interesting. Most people think are not interesting. That makes it very frustrating. So on top of making rewards just feel better, also actually having items that are meaningful and that are actually feel like an upgrade. That's something super important.
Yes, exactly, and that's something that I've also put on my list is named weapons.
Oh yeah.
Like what? Like there's a reason we don't use them.
Yeah.
They're not very good.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be the case. So that's one of the things that definitely needs fixing.
Absolutely.
That people feel like there's a lack of a dedicated PvP space, right? And that's not what the Dark Zone is. I think we all agree that that's not it. But for people who are craving that type of gameplay, they're trying to, and I speculate, they're trying to recreate that dedicated PvP type of gameplay in a space that really doesn't support it. Yeah. Which is problematic, to say the least. So
yeah,
we hear you on that for sure.
In the Dark Zone, you're in a situation where PvP players are looking for PvP, and you have PvE players that are looking for PvE. And no matter what you're looking for, you're going to be encountering the players that are looking for the other thing.
Yeah, there you go.
That's no matter what, that's going to be a frustrating experience. The enemy difficulty and the scaling, starting by like lowering their health by 20% or whatever. I think it's more complicated than that, because what we need is we actually need a proper scaling system. That means that eventually you could even also add more difficulty, like higher levels, whatever. It's not just a matter of changing their health. It's more a matter of finding a new approach to difficulty, which is not necessarily more bullet sponginess.
You're reading my mind, man. That's exactly it.
That's what I guess most people would agree on. So, and that's what we've seen on the feedback as well.
Totally. It's one of those things. Like, I get the conundrum, right? You want to make things more difficult, and we want to hear your ideas on this. Like, obviously, right now, the way difficulty is being increased is not the way to go. But there needs to be more difficulty. Is it through harsher AI? Is it like these sorts of things? And it's not going to be the easiest thing to get right, but we need to do something to make it, to get that difficulty in there, but make it difficult. I think a lot of it, because our game is a loot game, and this isn't me speaking for game designers, but one of the things that I've seen people talk about as I've been playing through from 0 to 30 is making sure that those power jumps relate to gear in a more logical way, right? So for example, like I said before, if I'm level 24 and I go from using a 20 to 24 weapon, then I'm more powerful, right? So imagine if you had a world where I'm playing through hard incursions, and I can't do the challenging ones yet, but all the gear that I need to do a challenging incursion drops in hard, and so so on and so forth. But right now we kind of have a situation where to get the gear to do challenge mode, and this is something that I saw this morning on Reddit as well, that to do challenge mode you need the gear from challenge mode. Yeah. And to do heroic you need gear from heroic mode.
That's the issue when we are talking about like the scaling between hard and challenge and all these kind of things. For example, when you're stuck in hard mode and you're just getting rewards for hard mode, you actually don't necessarily gear up to be able to do challenge mode, and then you're stuck in this situation where the only activities you can do are activities that will not provide you with any upgrades. So all you have to do is actually try to find a carry that's actually going to get you through higher difficulties, and that's not how it should be. So this is a situation that needs to be addressed.
Exactly. Another thing, and I don't actually have this on the list, but I think it goes to the whole DZ discussion that people are bringing up. Someone was talking about, make a PvE only DZ, and there's, I don't think that's the solution, but I think there's something in that sentiment that is really valuable. HVT is only dropping Lone Star. That is more of a problem now than it was at first, because Lone Star.
But it's the whole gear weighting thing.
It's everything, right?
It's been a big discussion for weeks and months, and this is something we need to change, because obviously this is like this is also a very frustrating experience when you're doing the HVTs. The HVTs are fun, but all you get is Lone Star, or the same with Underground. You're doing Underground, and most of the time you just get Firecrest and Blind. It's just like...
Xbox stutter is obviously another thing that we have that's on the list.
It's not just the stutter. We have performance issues.
There's performance issues across all.
So yeah, that's also something that's very high on the list.
Exactly. Scavenging, we talked about it a lot. It doesn't make sense right now. Again, that means that Nomad doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
well, it makes sense.
Scavenging only works for the leveling parts, but once you're level 30 and you're in the end game, scavenging pretty much doesn't bring you anything.
Yeah,
so
exactly, and a lot of the ideas that I've seen around scavenging have focused on other issues in the game. So like people like, we talked about before how there's not enough ammo dropping, or it's requiring more ammo. It's like, what if scavenging increase the amount of ammo I got, or crafting materials, or these sorts of things. Oh, we had some test
Philip
bars
5150 was asking also, what about the PS4 sound issue? Also, yes. When we talk about performance and all these kind of things, it's all this hardware stuff. Yes, PS4 sound issue is also one where you will be playing on PS4 and then suddenly the sound stops.
We increased the stash size, but we've still been giving people ways to find or get skins, weapon skins.
Which still take inventory space.
Still take inventory space. Or stash space, or wherever you're putting them. And that would be great to get rid of. And there's a lot of other things like that, which aren't game-breaking, but it lowers your enjoyment.
It's all the quality of life things. But I mean, as you said, there was a stash size that we did already, but that's just one step. There are many other things that we can do to improve.
Total fail.
That happens, and
so things like locking gear and being able to save loadouts and these sorts of things. We totally agree with you guys on that. We definitely hear you.
Just to return this point, it's just like the point of the state of the game today is just to tell you that we are aware of all these kind of things, to comment on it, and to show that these are things that we are actually really looking at right now. Totally. As Hamish said, expect more information in the next weeks on how we are actually going to address this. But yes, there really is the intention on our side to deal with all of that. So
higher skill up, we can't pay him enough.
Higher skill up.
Hey, dude.
I don't know if he would move from Australia to Sweden anyway. I think he likes Australia.
Yeah, that's true. He likes all that Vegemite. Crazy dude. Seriously, higher skill up. Actually, that goes to kind of the next thing I wanted to talk about. I wanted to give a shout out to...
No, we're not going to say we're hiring skill up.
No, I didn't say that.
No.
What?
No, you didn't say that. Right. It's just you say higher skill up. Whatever. Anyway, that's my stupid brain.
Sometimes I say things. I'm pretty sure I didn't say that.
No, you didn't say
Okay, good. But there are... Skill Up put a really good video. I think it's called The Real State of the Game, basically top 10 things from the community. We agree with all of it.
Yep.
100%.
Guys, we're not going to talk about survival today.
No.
So if you're here to get some information about survival, it's not going to happen today because we think there are more pressing matters that we need to discuss before we talk about survival. We don't want to give this impression that we're actually going to try to make you forget about the game issues by putting new content on top of it.
Like wave shiny things in front of people's faces. And
some people are asking about fixes and everything. So just to be clear, so there was no fixes today. We didn't do any update or any patch. That doesn't mean we won't do it anymore. And when we talk about like big work with all the balancing things and all that what we've talked about, that doesn't mean we are not going to be doing bug fixes in between. So just because we didn't do anything this week doesn't mean we're not going to do anything in the next weeks. We will, but as far as addressing the things that we talked about now, this is something we'll be giving you more visibility on in the weeks to come, because we want to work with you on how to actually address that. And we want to make sure to involve you in the process. So right now, today, we just really wanted to give you visibility on the things that we are looking at and we are aware of. But we are not, so far, we are not talking about how we're going to fix it yet. What do you think is the percentage of players that actually have access to Underground that reach rank 40?
If you guessed 1%,
you would be right. 1% of players who actually have access to Underground and have played Underground have reached level 40 or rank 40, which is not much. And as many people, I would have guessed more. But no, just 1%. We have 50% of players that are below rank 13. So you do the math, and there is 49% between 13 and 40.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 25% of players that are actually below rank 7. So it's people who played the underground but maybe didn't like it. Or
I think a lot of that has to
yet.
do with gear set weighting. It really goes to highlight that what I would define as the main issues in our game right now, enemy scaling, so the different difficulties, and itemization is a big problem. And if we had both of those things in a better state, I guarantee that more people would be higher rank in the underground.
50J Bank says underground loot blows. Yeah.
I
as a player, I would agree. I mean, to be honest, like I'm playing it and I just don't get any upgrades. So obviously,
gear score is not important. Turbo beat port, I wouldn't say it's not important. It's not important as an indicator of your skill or even the power of your gear. It's loosely indicative, but I get what you're talking about. How many of our weekly active players would you say are playing Dragon's Nest? Actually, only 14% of players. Active players play Dragon's Nest. Exactly, 14%. And so for Falcons Lost, it's 8%.
100 minus Yannick.
8% of active players doing Falcons Lost. I think those are the people looking for Sentry, obviously. 4% of players looking at Clear Sky. We did know that Clear Sky would be the least